Here with me now to discuss this and more is Democratic Senator Chris Murphy, a member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Thank you so much for being here. Senator, 41 hostages have been released so far as part of this deal negotiated between Israel and Hamas. President Biden says it is only the start. This truce expires in 2 days. Jake Sullivan told me that the ball is in Hamas's court, whether it will be extended. What happens if Hamas doesn't agree to release more hostages? Do you think that Israel should resume its military operations in Gaza?
I believe that Israel has a moral obligation to defeat Hamas, at the very least to render it incapable of launching an attack like the one we saw on October 7th. So, yes, that job is not done. But let's give credit where credit is due. President Biden and his team worked 24/7 with partners in the region to make sure that this release was possible and to set a framework through which we can see more hostages released. This is a president who is right now showing the American people what real leadership looks like. Hopefully, Hamas will accept the conditions that have been laid down that will allow for more hostages to be released. But if they don't, ultimately Hamas is going to be defeated. That's in Israel's interest, but it's also in the interest of the United States. We do not want terrorist organizations believing they can get away with the kind of murder that Hamas did on October 7th.
Yeah, so fighting against terrorism and, as you said, moral obligation, you believe it is a moral obligation for Israel to continue this war. You also, though, have been critical of the way that Israel is conducting the war. You called the civilian death toll unacceptable and unsustainable. Your colleague, Senator Bernie Sanders, wants the Biden administration to put conditions on U.S. aid to Israel to pressure Israel to reduce civilian casualties in Gaza. He wrote, quote, "The blank check approach must end. The United States must make clear that while we are friends of Israel, there are conditions to that friendship, and we cannot be complicit in actions that violate international law and our own sense of decency." Do you agree?
Well, I stand by what I said. I do believe that the level of civilian harm inside Gaza has been unacceptable and is unsustainable. I think there's both a moral cost to this many civilians, innocent civilians, children often losing their life, but I think there's a strategic cost. Ultimately, Hamas will get stronger, not weaker, in the long run if all of this civilian death allows them to recruit more effectively and ably inside Gaza. Listen, we regularly condition our aid to allies based upon compliance with U.S. law and international law. And so I think it's very consistent with the ways in which we have dispensed aid, especially during wartime, to allies, for us to talk about making sure that the aid we give Ukraine or the aid we give Israel is used in accordance with human rights laws. And that'll be a conversation we will all be engaged in when we get back to Washington on Monday.
Well, President Biden said that he thinks it's an okay idea, but he also worries it could hinder diplomatic efforts to condition the aid, because you are going to have to deal with this. This is something that is going to be on your plate to vote on quite soon.
Yeah, obviously this will be a conversation we have when we return. I guess I'm not sure what would be controversial about simply saying that aid we give any country has to be used in compliance with international law. And, yes, of course, I do think that Israel needs to be more careful in the way that it is conducting these operations. I think that you can defeat Hamas without this level of civilian casualty. And so that's an appropriate discussion for us to have, in part because I really don't know that it serves Israel's strategic aims in the long run if Hamas ultimately is given this kind of bulletin board recruiting material.
You, before October 7th, were pretty critical of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government, the way he was conducting it with regard to the democracy inside Israel. He knows that once this war ends, he's going to have to face questions over his failure to prevent October 7th, among other things. Are you concerned that his precarious domestic political situation is an obstacle to the war ending as quickly as the U.S. wants it to?
Well, my sense is that though the Israeli people may not be planning to have Netanyahu as their prime minister for the long run, they are still united in their belief that there has to be accountability. And my hope is that when they do go to the polls, that they choose leadership that is going to make good on the only future that guarantees the survival of a Jewish state in the Middle East, and that is a Palestinian state. Benjamin Netanyahu believed that you could ignore the Palestinians, that you could try to squash their desires for a state, and ultimately that would bring peace to the region and to Israel. That's just not the case. Ultimately, the next government is going to have to put us back on a path to have a Palestinian state. That's not easy, but it is the only way forward for Israel. It is the only way forward for long-term peace.
Senator, we have seen an alarming spike in anti-Semitism, hate against Jews, across the United States, but particularly on college campuses. You also sit on the Senate committee that deals with education. What's gone so wrong on America's college campuses that you have students openly applauding the terrorist killings of 1,200 or more civilians?
Yeah, listen, I'm all for free speech on our campuses, but I've been very disappointed at the response of many of our university officials. There's a direct line between some of the most vicious anti-Semitism speech happening on our campus and threats of violence to synagogues and to Jewish communities. I ultimately, think we need to sort of think really hard about the way in which our young people are receiving information about this conflict. We need to hold accountable the social media sites, in particular TikTok, which is just full of virulent pro-Hamas and anti-Semitic material. The college campuses need to have a better means of accountability for this kind of hate speech. But we also have to recognize that these young people are getting their information from somewhere, often from a Chinese-controlled social media platform that has in its interest trying to turn America against each other. And one of the means they may be doing that is trying to promote a lot of pretty hateful and divisive material about the conflict in Gaza.
Senator Chris Murphy, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Hope you had a nice Thanksgiving.
Thank you.